Devashish Nandi spoke of that before 15 years back or even 10 years back, nobody knew sustainability, right? Right. And now we are talking about digital transformation. So in fact, I was seeing a movie just day before yesterday on OTT, which is that Surfira. I don't know how many of you have seen it already. 2001, this was a movie 2001, and it's actually based on a real story of Mr. Gopinath, who had Air Deccan, who actually made, right? 2001, he was talking of getting this economy airlines, and he's talking of internet. And people were laughing at him. Kya baat kar rahe ho? Internet? Who's going to have internet in India? And how things have totally changed. And now the latest movie which has come out, which also is on the OTT, is CRTL Control. I don't know how many of you seen that. And then Pandya. It's how the entire life today of ours is controlled by the internet. Entire thing. Everybody is watching us, seeing us. Even people are talking right now. Somebody coordinating. The AI is coming out, right? How things are totally changed. So in fact, our topic is digital transformation and supply chain. So I think with these AIs and these drones and with these IoTs and with these machine learning, things have also changed here. So I'm not an expert in supply chain at all. I'm just an overall jack, but my panelists here are real experts. So I'll start. Let's talk very practical things because we have talked of theory here and there, right? So let's talk very practical. So Sanjay, maybe I'll start with you. Now, Sanjay is Archroma. I think you are a leader in textile chemistry, textile industry, right? So people have been talking of sustainability here, change management which has happened, right? I want to understand from you the practical aspect. Like, for example, you are using sustainability how into account, like for inventory scheduling, for planning, for, does it really change OTIF? Does it really change customer delight? And people also talked of SBTI here, right? Do they really actually do it? I mean, this practical talking is different, but what is about practicality?
Yeah, good afternoon. I think through the morning and to this time when we're sitting here, sustainability is, communicated and mentioned repeatedly. I would talk about it in three parts. One, it is our responsibility as individuals and as good corporate citizens to leave the Mother Earth as we got it. We inherited it from our parents and we have to give it to our children. So what do we do in practical terms so that 1.5% degrees increase in temperature was mentioned? I think practically what do we do so that we leave the Mother Earth the same way? One. The second part is what is it that makes commercial sense, because at the end we are in business and we should be able to quantify and monetize the sustainability part because our customers need it. Yeah, I like it was mentioned that I come from textiles. If you go to any store and you look at a pair of jeans, you'll find a label there which says that 100 liters of water was saved in processing that. So what is Levi's as a company trying to do? It is trying to monetize the sustainability process that they've adopted. And the third is, we spoke of SBIT, but there is also another term called COP, Confederation of Parties. So this is an intergovernment, forum in which globally governments are asked to make declarations in terms of what would be their, intensity reductions, carbon footprint reduction, energy reduction, water reduction. So I think these three levels are what is important. As corporate citizens, we need to leave Mother Earth the same way or even a little better. But I think at the end of it, as commercial enterprises, we also need to find a method of quantifying sustainability in a measurable way. SBTI is one of them. There is also, another term called product carbon footprint. I think scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 was mentioned. When we interact with a lot of our customers, there is still a significant gap in understanding and quantifying how do you measure this PCF for a product, for a process. And the second is also a term called life cycle analysis. Cradle to grave is what is generally mentioned. So I think the whole concept of sustainability in tangible, measurable terms, and then monetizing this whole thing. so that consumer can get a benefit, a tangible benefit, and we are also able to, make sustainable benefits. So these are the two things, which are very, very important.
You also mentioned business sense. Does it make business sense?
Yeah, that's what I was, wanting to also, quantify. If we save water, 100 liters of water in one process, right? It is obviously making sense, because then you don't spend money in using that water. I think someone mentioned, ZLD in the earlier panel. So that means zero liquid discharge. Whatever you use is what is reused again. So it makes commercial sense. You save money in processing the effluent which is generated, and you don't, spend money in getting the new water in. So it absolutely makes, sense.
Yeah, correct. Even circular economy is coming in, right? That's what basically it is. Good. Thank you, Sanjay. I'll come back to you. Ajay, now he is basically again a supply chain expert. He's been a professor in various institutes, and now he's heading Hindustan Platinum as well. One more term we heard the last panel was blockchain. And somebody mentioned that actually blockchain is going to help and it's going to really come up, right? So I want to understand from you, again, a very practical thing is this, that first I want to understand what is blockchain inventory management, and then the key benefits which blockchain inventory management can get to the sector.
So there are two aspects of blockchain. I think blockchain is here in present since last couple of years. One part is when we see it in a commercial terms or in supply chain domain, we see the negative part of it, and another is the positive part of it. So first I'll cover the negative part of it. Why it is blockchain has failed very miserably in commercial terms is when it comes to a statutory part of it, right? Blockchain works very efficiently when we are like a supplier and the customer, because we can integrate your system very smoothly as per the business requirement, business sensing. But when it comes to part of a statutory requirement, every country has it has its own deliberation and security of data to be revealed. Like in India also earlier in the customs, it was very protected data, right? Integrating the data was a various, we had to tough task to do that one. But with the ICE gate system and various system being talking to now the whole process, now it is slowly going into working on that. So from negative to positive side of it. When it comes to blockchain in the inventory management part of it, I think there are a lot of deliberation, because we are seeing in the whole across the globe, 20 to 30% of your whole working capital is going to be blocked in your inventory levels, right? So to sustain and to prevent this inventory management and to bring into the level of controlling obsolescence, obsolete this thing, the blockchain is really helping us, the industry, to have this inventory management in the multiple fold of its turnovers. I think that is where this blockchain inventory management has come to a real picture, where transparency has gone into the level of right from the supply end to in process to the customer side, where it really helping not only the industry, like a customer, but also a supplier to fulfill the one step ahead of demand forecast. Because when we talk about the demand forecast, I think still across the globe, we have not gone into beyond 70% forecast accuracy. Why it is so? Because there are a lot of vulnerability in the demand and supply gaps. Is it really being communicated to supplier? The question mark is there. So that is where I think the blockchain inventory is really helping us, the industries, to work each other right from the supply to the customer end. And it really triggers into all the flows, whether it is a material flow, information flow, and the financial flow, through which our industry can take a cognizant decision, so that at least in every scientific way we are addressing this class of blockchain. That is where it is.
Thank you, sir, Ajay. We have Dr. Rakesh. He is already here. Can you please join us, sir? I'll come back to you, Dr. Rakesh. Now, Sanjay, again, practical. Let's talk practical, right? So we have heard of data analytics. We have heard of business intelligence, right? Now, how is all this used in helping a company make profits, or in cash management or inventory management sector? What has happened?
Yeah, I think a very relevant question today, because I think cash is king. Cash contribution of a business, because if you don't have cash, your net working capital is impacted, your ability to perform is impacted. So inventory is another form of money. If you don't turn around your inventory efficiently, then that much inefficiencies will come in the system, very clearly said. What we have to also be very, very careful is we have to balance the customer delight and business etiquette. Because we can have an 100% customer delighted, very heavily on the amount of inventory that we keep. So I think what is important is, the AI, machine learning, these two areas, we feel, and I bring this up because, we use this extensively in my organization, and we feel that, we are able to make a significant difference in the cash contribution to the extent of maybe even 15 to 30%. We are able to, and not only at inventory management, but forecasting, inventory management, how do we, track the OTIF because of the AI ML, susceptibility to vendors, whether, for example, there is one company in India who make ethylene oxide. Now, all the surfactants which are based on ethylene oxides are either triacetyl alcohol or garbate alcohol ethoxylates. Now, there is a vulnerability inside, right? How do you then also talk of sustainability, SBTI, PCFs, you can also track that by machine learning. What is also very important is, you can, develop an algorithm. You give that algorithm, say 100% data, and that you train the algorithm, and these are algorithms which you can write very easily. You train the algorithm with 80% of the data. The remaining 20% is not seen. And then you test the algorithm's efficiency with the remaining 20%. And then you get an efficiency out of that algorithm, which helps you really the 6 things I mentioned. Yeah? And over a period of time, we've seen that, our cash contribution and even in the EBITDA, these things are absolutely, making a big difference.
Great to know that things are actually practically working. So that means that 70% inventory forecast, Ajay, you mentioned, would improve with all this, right? Definitely. Okay. Now we are talking of this integrated supply management, correct? That's what I think we have been discussing with Sanjay and Ajay. So Rakesh ji, I just really want to understand that actually can customers, suppliers, manufacturers work together to create and distribute a product? I mean, you are from the supply chain institute, you're heading that institute. How does really this future look like in supply chain?
I think, Alok, this is a very interesting question. My first take on this is, it seems everybody has to work in their silos, but have to talk to each other to integrate it. I think this is something that needs to be understood. Now, there are a lot of examples from the world of business, how companies are managing their end-to-end integration. This is what is the process. How do we see a decision-making as a value chain approach? That's important, not only as a marketing, logistics, finance, and this thing. And I think if you look at historically, we started with sales and operation planning. The sales and operations came in and did this. But if you see the pandemic, and I think biggest learning in pandemic for everyone was that you procured what was needed, you produced what was needed, you put your logistics with the demand where it was high, and you supplied to the market which was needed, all the cities that were open. And you created a war room for this particular kind of thing. You unknowingly integrated yourself, and this in the world of literature is called as integrated business planning. Primarily, when you start looking at a function from your own perspective, you create functional excellence where you don't create business excellence. Let me give you an example. I was doing my PhD in 2004 in agrochemicals. So I won't name the company, but I'll name the company. The company has been acquired by Aventis. So when I went to Aventis to collect my data, I met the marketing guy. Unknowingly, the first person to meet was he, but the product guy and supply, the logistic guy got angry. You are doing something on supply chain and you meet the marketing guy. I saw the functional disconnect and politics of organization as very strong. It is very important that you connect them into a single source of truth, what we call it in planning, and it belongs here. The first thing that you do is a great portfolio analysis of what's happening, what is to come, how do you bring new product, how do you dephase, what is the life cycle of product. We start with forecasting without understanding where does the product lie in the life. Second thing is an amazing amount of demand review with the demand planner, forecasting team, sales and marketing. In fact, sales will have their own bottoms-up numbers. Supply chain will have their own analytics, and marketing will have the market research angle. It's a very good way to connect and look at the reality. Move to the supply chain review, and you see the constraint in supply chain into your IBP meetings, and then move for financial reconciliation. You cannot really understand supply chain without finance. At final, managerial MD has to say that, yes, this is it. This is integration. This is end-to-end approach. And this has to be done. So while functionally you are looking at things, you are aligning each functional objective to a larger objective through IBP. And where you're looking, your short term resides in the tactical term, and tactical term resides in the long term. You're planning well for a resilience and business continuity.
Dr. Aki understood that the functions in each company have to be aligned, agreed. But what about, say, a supplier to a manufacturer, manufacturer to a customer? Is it practical that they get also aligned and they exchange data to get into a final product you just mentioned?
Desirable, but the problem lies this. How many of us know that who is any supplier beyond my first tire? Here you are creating a gap, and this is where the first question that blockchain and things come in. Yeah, auto company have 50,000 sub-suppliers. Chemicals also maybe whatever be the number. You are not aligned to the tiers of suppliers. You need visibility. And you need them as a part of your alignment. Supply. See, this is where procurement, logistics should sit in the IBP, and so should sustainability and diversity as a requirement for a new supply chain. If you see Professor Yadav talking about sustainability, it doesn't happen in air. It will happen when you sit in the process and see that each and every element of your management is aligned to sustainable objectives. This is the fundamental. So you need to bring an amazing amount of transparency and connectivity. You see the digital tools, they are just an enabler to connect everything. The process called IBP can bring the reality, governance. And governance is the fundamental to organization performance. And the architecture that supports governance is the technology. And I think this is where technology is misunderstood to be more productive. It's just an architecture. It can help you to align everything. There's a company called Resilink, which can map all your supplies in China, wherever, and alternate suppliers, and everything can be visible. Not many of us want to spend in it. You want our procurement to be simply a price-sensitive issue. I read a report in McKinsey yesterday. You subscribe McKinsey. It says everybody has gone back to 2017-18.
The earlier panel spoke about, cradle to grave. We also spoke about, the scope 3, emissions. Unless this whole process is integrated, there is no way we are going to, connect all the dots. You will have one, manufacturing process talking about the PCF for one product, but unless the whole value chain is connected through this, integrated supply and an integrated thought process, the scope 3 emissions are impossible to write.
I agree. For that scope 1, scope 3 sustainability, people have to integrate. There's no question about it.
No, but he's making a very significant point. It is not about sustainability. Leave apart the sustainable energy issues. can you plan well, align your networks well, reduce distances covered? That can reduce your sustainable carbon emission by 50%. We are wasting. See, the question is on inventory. What are we doing? In a broken supply chain, we sit on inventories which we can't even see where it lies. And we keep on, see, when you can't see inventory, you have stock out, you're surplus, and you're producing. The kind of waste that you create, this is where the visibility can help you to create networks. In fact, a lot of studies says that if your network design, in India, you saw what Arun said in the beginning, the way infrastructure is increasing, are you aligning your network with the infrastructure or are you running the old way? All of us say that we need intermodal this thing. Have visibility of intermodal. JSW does that and it has reduced its carbon emission and cost by enormous amount. Moving by rail, roll and sea. So that's what is important.
Absolutely, Dr. Rakesh. Now coming back to you, Ajay, here, is again, the same discussion we carry on, this into supply chain management, again, practical aspect of it, that you've been working on this. So is it really leading to improved efficiency and cost reduction through data-driven decision making in your company?
Yes, I'll quote, there are a couple of examples since my last 10 years working very extensively on this integrated supply chain, not only within the system of organization, but also along with the customer, because we work not only the tier 1 as Dr. Singh was saying it, we work with the nth level of a tier of our supply based and with the customer and customer base. I think a lot of things has to be looked into, like complete your supply chain network. That is very important. I'll give an example out of it. In my previous assignments, we were working predominantly into US region, our supplies with the West Coast and East Coast, and everybody is over here must be knowing in the logistics. Going into from India to East Coast is around 20-25 odd days, and going into West Coast is 40 to 45 odd days. So it makes a difference of 20-25 days because all the way it goes from other way around of the sea surface. And the payment terms, if I have with the customer in 30 days after receive, so you can imagine the West Coast supplies, I'm getting my receivables after a month time. And the whole lot of inventory, your movement time and everything. And we did a project along with the customer involvement, logistics companies involvement, shipping line involvement, where we started moving all our containers from India to East Coast and trailing it down the multimodal, what Dr. Singh was saying. And it was a practical aspect. We worked for 4 years on this, and the end result out of it, not saving for us a $5 million per year, which we passed on half of it to our customer in the terms of our product costing, but also the lot of things on the sustainability part on this moving across what we are talking about now. So this is the 5-year backstory. Also in the same way, when we worked with one of our supplier for a 20 million supply base from China for a project in automotive, we started looking into that, why can't this can be done in India? Because we're talking a lot of things in Make in India project, this all blah blah thing. Why practically it is not possible? So we worked with because I was working with a company called John Deere. So we worked very extensively on this with the customer based and supplier based, and brought all the things, tools into India, and started manufacturing it, saving across $1 million on this. So there are various practical aspects of it which companies can take advantage out of it and realize it, not only on the cost reduction part of it, but administrative of integrating your supply chain network.
Yeah, agreed. In fact, I've also just very recently seen even all these ports today, JNPT, etc., are all having those train connections, and people are shifting from road cargo to train cargo to save whatever, etc. Dr. Rakesh, we have talked of very interesting things. As I said, you already run an institute as well, right? So let's talk of this change management training. So is it really training has to be imparted in all these employers? Like we have a mix of old employers, new employers coming in. So is training required for changing into all this integrated supply chain management example or data analytics, etc.? And that's one question of mine. And second would be, is that we have heard of words like digital maturity, digital intensity, etc. Can you throw some light on that as well?
All right. I think the whole intent of me to start this institute was a little different. So when people say it's Institute of Supply Chain, everything, I would have a student, then I get a request for, students to join the organization. I think we are a little different. I cannot compete with IIMs with a business school, but I can compete with them when I have to provide skills. Most of my offerings are in certification in strategic way, what is needed by the industry. For instance, as this panel is demand planning, supply planning, and this thing. We take a very different approach. We take an approach to train you into what you are not doing, what you should do. And that's the difference. This is why we have a very strong 150 clientele base of who from most of the chemicals we may not be that strong. But in FMCGs, in heavy engineering, in pharma, everybody comes in. I think, and we run 6 very critical areas of certification. One of them is digital maturity. Now, what do we mean by digital maturity? I think when you look at organizations when they are acquiring technology, you find that you have a fragmented technology. One technology comes from O9, another comes from Blue Yonder, and you have a base of SAP. So conflicting for you to really do this. There's no thought. It's still in the acquisition of technology and fragmentation of technology. It is a functional thought that prevails in an organization which should be business thought. We provided this course on digital to understand how do you build the tech intensity? How do you create the architecture and platform within the organization to acquire technology which can give you a complete data? Now, digital maturity is a maturity that happens in each department in sync with IBP. And you are moving and helping organization to be more mature in your processes, structure, and linkages by technology facilitating it. So that's called digital maturity. There is no maturity without the process maturity. Third is digital democratization, which I didn't write in that particular thing that I sent to you. It's about how do I use a critical set of data in a more democratic way, functionally to align my organization. And that's fundamentally this thing. In fact, I have only one view on data. Is your final data a product which can be consumed by your functions which have problems? It's not a lake also as people propagate, or it's not a warehouse. It's a product which is meant for consumption by the consumer of data within the organization to solve their business problems and supply chain problems. This is why our certification programs are more popular, because we have looked at skills that you need. So ISCM provides you the skills beyond your MBA after 5 years. It's not for anybody to start with. And we have realized that business schools have remained in the old domain of their textbooks. They have not moved forward. We capitalize on that opportunity. And it's very essential for you to skill in sustainability. It's very essential for you to skill in this thing, demand planning, and even the new form of logistics. It's not the same. How do you make a decision? How do you create a questionnaire for a multimodal framework? This is what we teach. And this is why we are very bad at marketing. Ours is a word of mouth institute. But I think that has really put everything into perspective, because we are looking at problems and we are creating courses which solves the problem.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh. We have all heard about entrepreneurs, right? Dr. Rakesh is an edupreneur. Means education. I think you can explain that better. I mean, education and entrepreneurship combined, right?
Entrepreneur in the education domain. So that's what it means.
It's an interesting thing, a word I heard. One more question I had for you, Dr. Rakesh. See, like we heard of responsible care. Now that's given by ICC, by the way, in India. We heard of sustainability, those EcoVadis certifications, etc., right? Platinum and gold and silver, right? So is your institute also qualified to give something on data analytics or something that kind? Is it?
I actually think the world should move out of these certification bodies. Primarily, they have become too redundant and too questionable. I've been in my business school days, 5 years before, I used to be part of EcoVerdis. I used to be part of so many evaluation committee for sustainability to give certificate, and also certification to business schools through the AICT. I know what happens. If I'm staying in Taj, somebody will come in the evening 2 days before and then hand me over something. And that's, I become a 5-star business school. I think most schools don't even have faculty of 5 stars. So I think I never thought of those things. We are here to skill a person who can be capable of being in this new organization. That's it. And I'm going by that fundamental perspective on education, because it's you who can skill yourself, you who can skill your team. You don't need a certification. The skill needs to be the certificate to perform. And I think another 10 years, all those certifications which are really accreditation oriented will go away. People will go to institutions which provide some amount of knowledge which help them. Formal education will remain, business schools will remain, medical schools will remain, but beyond that, the kind of skills that you need are not going to be certified. And let me tell you, anyone who wants to start a warehouse today as an entrepreneur will not get funding under sustainable. So it becomes a practice over a period of time and not any certification. I think all consultant, all constructing unit like L&T will give you green warehouses. And I think that's the change that's coming up in the whole world, including India.
Yeah, changes are coming up. Like in Brenntag, definitely we don't certify any warehouse now which is not a green warehouse. That's an example. Any questions to the panelists, please, from the audience?
Thank you. Hello. Hello. Yeah. So my question is to Mr. Rakesh. So it is related to IBP. Is there any platform that you have used or you may suggest for the better integration? And here are some names that my organization is predominantly searching for, like Plan Visa, Anaplan, SAP, IBP, Archroma, and these are the all big names. But when we search that Plan Visa is the, like Visage is the cheapest, but how do we identify that they are going to perform when we onboard them? So can you suggest, is there any?
This is a huge consulting opportunity for me. I wouldn't give you a free answer to this, but but I think I'll give you some this thing. IBP is not tool. IBP is a process-oriented governance mechanism I talked about. SAP IBP major supported for all our thought leadership program, but they have said SAP IBP means it's a forecasting tool, nothing else. It's not IBP tool. I think there is a little difference there. How do you look at a tool? A tool which is easy to use, solves your problem, and makes you use data in a more friendly way to understand the problem and analyze the problem. I'll give you one additional thing that you should see. A tool which can help you to diagnose the problem, describe the problem, a tool which can help you to forecast the problem and forecast your demand and supply, and a tool which can prescribe you what you need to do. If it has all the three characteristics, you should go for it.
Okay, thank you.
Because I cannot name them, they're all my clients, and I can only say this, that tools are as widely used as you can use them. I'll tell you, I was in Hindustan Unilever in 2018, trading 35 of their demand planners. So at that point of time, the SaaS-based was just emerging. So all of us use ERP-based APOs. So I asked them one question. What is the algorithm in your SAP? They all smile. 35 of them smile. No answers. It's a black box. Technology can be black box unless you know what it has to do for you. And this is where really, if you want to evaluate the characteristics with your business needs, right? Most of them are similar, but some of them are slightly, some are more similar, are more better, equal. So that you have to analyze. And in case you need consulting for that, ICM is open to that.
Sure, we'll connect.
Just to add on it,
Yes,
I think in the industry perspective, I think we need to look into very granular level that what type of the software or what type of this plans you require, because other day I was in a conference in Dubai, and there was a discussion on the transport management system softwares, and it was one of the speakers has quoted that close to 28,000 softwares are currently being offered across the globe only on transport management system. So you can imagine the SaaS-based these softwares are available across. So you need to look into what type of really the planning and the whole process you require, whether you have working in a MT or MTS environment, whether you are working in really customer-faced demand-driven MRP. So you have to really look into that, what type of process, what Dr. Singh said. Really, there is a process I think you need to define on that, and then you can go for any softwares. I think that can be integrated anytime. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Ajay sir.
I think we'll just take one more question because it's 2 o'clock. We had a hard stop there, please.
So, good afternoon, everyone. So my question is to Mr. Rakesh sir. So now we have already talked about inventory, supply, demand a lot. So there is a term called as health of an inventory health. And it comes like whatever we are having, the normal inventory, undesirable inventory, SLOP and all that. So can you just enlighten me on the specifically for like what are the top 2 or 3 key parameters we should look for in terms of specifically for managing the inventory at the optimal level, keeping the cash flow in budget as well as service the demand without any sales loss?
There is no one fit solution to this question also. Fundamentally, inventory is a part of your supply chain design and supply chain planning and forecasting. If you have a huge transparency in your supply chain planning, you will not have bullwhip effect anywhere. You understand bullwhip effect, right? So you will not have a stock out somewhere, you will not have a surplus somewhere, and your factory will not be producing somewhere. Exactly. What does that mean? That essentially means that your organization is very well aligned. Your organizations understand the macroeconomic changes in the country and disruption better. And you are very well networked in terms of using all the connectors like the express roadways or rail or this thing. And you know where to move when, and everything is seen properly. And this is why technology will play a big role in the future. Sadly, in a country like India, I don't know chemicals, but it's very interesting. Nobody knows the country beyond the distributor. You end at the distributor, and everything is a black box. India is a great opportunity beyond, in this black box. It's your tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, and maybe villages. I think we are not knowing what to do. We talk big about technology, but one man did it. Prime Minister Modi with done, and I'm not a great fan of BJP, but I'm a great fan of his policies. I think he reached the bank account when Rajiv Gandhi used to harp about 1 रुपया में 20 पैसा लोगों को मिलता है, he harps about 1 रुपया में 1 रुपया मिलता है. I think that's where we need to collect data. I think India is an amazing opportunity. If you can use the internet penetration and mobile penetration and somehow somebody can develop a simple application, you will know that गांव के एक सैंटी में भी क्या बिक रहा हो भी दिख जाएगा आपको. This visibility is important for anything. You don't have visibility, I have no answer to the solution to the inventory. Visibility is very important. Second thing is that at a tactical level, all these changes are, so Google mobility. You see Or Map My India, for instance. Let's look at Made in India. It can show you what lies where. So you know geographically kahan pe kya hai, and you can plan for those geography better. And the third is obviously a great integrator. A technology like all these SaaS-based technology, they are essential for you to be there so that everything can be plugged in. These platforms should work in tandem with each other, collaboration with each other. India may, or world also, people work within their sphere of influence. They don't work together. Collaboration has to be between technology also, not only between the partners. The technology need to collaborate to come together. And I think I have seen some of them doing great work together now and trying to integrate. Wherever they are, they're trying to create connectors and integrators, and that will help. I think it is very important for us to do this. Otherwise, see, I'll tell you one more example, and this is very critical, even in FMCGs, even in maybe chemicals, it could be happening for smaller products. Every last week of the month is heavy. As if demand सिर्फ last week में होता है, first, second, third में कोई demand नहीं होता है, fourth में होता है. क्यों होता है? क्योंकि अगर हम 4 वीक का एग्रीगेट करते हैं तो जो डेली फ्लक्चुएशंस होता है, वीकली फ्लक्चुएशन, वो दिखेगा नहीं किसी को. तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? You keep a huge inventory and you become nervous and firefight. That's what you're doing. Visibility is the only answer to the whole solution.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. We'll close. Yes, we have got the closure remark. Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you so much.